would have a really strong open. I would make 20, maybe $30,000 in the first 15, 20 minutes. And immediately when I make that amount of money, the first thing that rings in my mind is, hey, if I put in more money, if I had risked more capital, I could have made more profits. Then what I typically do, or what I did, is I would carry that mindset over to the next trade. So trade one would go extremely well, followed my plan, had a solid risk amount, everything was perfect to the T. Now, because I got trade one right, I carry that confidence into my second trade, and it's not just normal confidence, it's a high level of confidence where I wish I had put more money so I could have made more. And the second trade is where I would typically just lose the profits, if not more, because I was like, well, I'm so good at this, I'm gonna make more, I have to just risk more. And that has hurt me countless times. When you make money, how do you respond? When you lose money, how do you respond? Do you go and do you take on stupid trades afterwards? Do you start putting in more size? Do you get overly excited when you're right? When you are overly excited, the next day, do you start putting on so much size to make more money? Vice versa, when you lose money, how do you respond when you miss a trade? How do you respond when you're able to capitalize on 3 to 4 to 5 trades back to back? Do you get super confident where eventually you start blowing all the money away? So these are some things that you want to start understanding about yourself and how you respond to certain situations. And I've noticed traders are just sometimes not aware. They're not aware of their psychological barriers. They're not even aware of the psychological aspects and impacts that trading has in general. When you are trading, you never want to make money that does not make sense to you. What I mean by that is if you make money by accident as a trader, let's say you don't have a stock or a name on your game plan and you randomly trade it and you make money, you've allowed a bad habit to enter your trading space. The moment you allow one bad habit to enter your trading space, it starts compounding into 2 bad habits, 3 bad habits, 4 bad habits, 5 bad habits. And next thing you know, you have a massive drawdown and you essentially blew your account. So you want to try to avoid these problems. You want to try to avoid taking trades that don't fit your game plan. You want to try to avoid trades that don't have an edge, that don't align with your playbook or don't align with your strategy or setup or whatever you may want to call it. Because once you avoid those and you start cultivating an environment for yourself that makes sense, that is healthy, and that forces you to only take trades that align within your game plan, you start building good habits, which will and do compound over time. Before I take any single trade, I always have a mental stop loss. Like, okay, well, if the trade gets to this level, I know I will be wrong. If I am wrong, and based on my position size and how much I should invest or put on size, I will lose $2,000 or I will lose $15,000. I am okay with that. Okay, the trade makes sense. I have an edge on the trade. Cool, I put the trade on. Make sure the money you guys use to trade with is money that is yours, money that you can afford to lose. The reason being is the financial markets are extremely risky. I will be the first to tell you guys, like, it is risky, it is hard. I know a lot of people make trading so easy. It's like a walk in the park, you go trade on the beach. That is not the case. It's extremely risky and your capital will be at risk. So if you are using any sorts of money, be it $100 or $10,000, please make sure that you guys are in a position to lose that money. Our job as traders is to manage risk. That is the only thing we can manage. We cannot manage the outcome of a trade. We cannot manage if a trade will go higher or lower. We can take a trade based on our edge, based on the probability of us believing that this trade will go higher, but we cannot control the outcome. If I do take this trade and I am wrong, what is that appropriate position size that I should take? Where if I'm wrong, I can lose the 200 or I can lose the 2,000. Now, most traders, when they enter a trade, they immediately look at the trade from, oh man, when I take this trade, I'm going to make $2,000 or I'm going to make $4,000. And that's not a good approach. The approach that I take in every single trade is, if I take this trade and I'm wrong, I will lose 500 or I will lose 5,000. Am I okay on losing 5,000? Of course, no one is naturally okay on losing money. But once again, in trading, you will lose money. It will happen. You have to become a good loser. Trading is very difficult. If you are not ready to go through hell, just stop day trading. Just stop. I will be the first to tell you, just quit, leave, stop. Why? Because day trading is so difficult, because not only are you competing with the market, you're competing with something bigger than the market, and that's yourself. You're fighting with your inner demons all the inner problems you have, they show out in day trading. When you are trading, you are putting positions on, you start realizing all your flaws, all your emotional battles and struggles. It all starts showing up on the screen, on your P&L and in your trading. One of the main key fundamentals of trading, in my opinion, is making sure you are always protecting your downside. Traders rush into the markets looking to make quick money with no risk management. I've seen many times where traders take on a position, and the first thing they focus on when they take on a position is how much money they will make, without factoring in that if they are wrong, how much they will lose. Why? Because traders don't like to factor in the idea of being wrong. A few bad trades can ultimately wipe your account out. My first 2 years of trading, I would always be red on Mondays, because the moment the market opens after a long weekend, Monday comes in, I'm going with size, I'm excited. I'm like, let's go, let's start the week. And then the next 4 days, I'm trying to make that money back. So I'll be break even, I'll be a little bit green, a little bit red. So it was like, hey, take a step back, destroy taking big trades on Mondays, or even sit out on Mondays if you need to. Does your job get in the way of trading? That's a pretty valid point, because a lot of times I've seen people, depending on what time zone they live in or what country they live in, day trading doesn't impact their job, or job doesn't impact day trading, vice versa. So if it doesn't impact one another, I go to traders and I'm like, hey, if it's not impacting your trading and you can still trade and you have different time zones or different time areas you can trade, then don't quit your job. My whole agenda was to trade. I love trading. The idea of putting on a trade, hitting the button, the buy noise comes in, the sell noise, you see a P&L go up or down, whatever, it's just a thrill. Like, it was more of a thrill. A lot of people do that where they enjoy the thrill more than anything, in my opinion. They'll keep putting on trades, they'll be down 1,000, they'll be up 2,000. The thrill you get from it is essentially relatively similar to gambling. Your job as a trader is to identify strategies that fit within yourself, that fit within your personality, right? So I've seen traders that try to scalp and they don't have the personality to maybe be a scalper or to be quick on their feet. They go into the markets, they replicate strategies from other people that they see on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and they're like, I want to trade exactly how this person trades. It's a good approach of learning and understanding, but if you want to really excel, you have to take bits and bits of pieces from other traders, understand what they're trading, how they're trading, and then kind of build your own playbook and understand that, hey, this is my personal approach to the market. This is my personal way of approaching things in general, and this is my personality. And based on my personality, these are the trading methods that I think fit best with me. And this is the edge, or this is the approach I want to take on the market. You need to know how to lose. And I see a lot of traders that aren't profitable. They have a difficult time losing. It could be because of ego. It could be because they don't know how to deal with losses. But the idea is to understand, why are you losing? When you do lose, being okay with it. Most of trading, you will be wrong. Most of trading, you will lose. The little trading you do win in is the trading that will compound and make the most money if you have the proper risk management. I see traders, they'll have good months, good weeks, but the moment it's time for them to lose, or they do lose, they go crazy, they'll go erratic, they do not know how to control themselves, they do not know how to manage the loss. Because I've had multiple green years back to back to back to back, like past 6 years, I've been profitable every year. Like, I've been in the game long enough to understand the losses happen, and I understand long enough that if I stay alive, I will walk out green essentially. And I've also learned to understand that it's part of the game, and because I've had green months and green years and so on, I'm essentially up, if that makes sense, right? So I think for most people, when you're in that stage of you're still red for the year or past 2 years or since you've started, the loss hurts deeper, because now your drawdown, instead of it being 40K, now it's 50. Instead of 50, it's 60. Instead of 60, it's 70. It's like, oh my God, I'm down 70K in total now, instead of, well, you know, I'm still up $400,000. I took a 30K loss, which sucks, but I'm still okay. I know it's not going to happen in 1 year. I know it's not going to happen in 2 years. So I got to stay the course for as long as I can and give myself a fair shot. So when I started and I was like 18, I was like, hey, I'm going to give this a solid 5 years. You go to college, it takes 4 years. So why am I going to give trading 1 year? Why am I going to give it 2 years? Let me give it 4 or 5 years, and let me give it real 4 or 5 years. Not nonsense, not, hey, I do it for 1 month, I take 2 months off, I do it for 3 months, and I take a year off. No, nonstop consistency for a long period of time. That mindset just allowed me to like stay the course, keep my head down, and just stay locked in. You want to flip the concept where every trade you look at, you start paying attention to, hey, if I am wrong in this trade, how much will I lose and how much am I able to lose based on my account size? Once you have that identified, your job then becomes to make sure every single trade you take moving forward allows you to stay alive in the market for as long as possible. Most of the learning, most of the experience comes from actual trading, when you're actually on the battlefield, when you're actually putting on trades. So if you have the education component down, and let's say that's checked off and you have the good education, good foundation, that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is you putting on real trades. Most traders miss that part out. They think, hey, I've learned a certain strategy, or I've learned how to trade the markets, and now I should be ready to go. Take that with a grain of salt, just by understanding that if you have the education, cool. Now you have to apply it, which is the most difficult part in my opinion. You can't be disciplined with one thing and not disciplined in something else. So you have to be disciplined in all areas of your life for it to carry over to something else. Trading, let's say for example, you're not disciplined with going to the gym or not disciplined on sleeping right and taking care of yourself. You're not randomly just going to wake up and be disciplined when it's time to trade. Every aspect of your life has to be really taken care of the right way. And if that's taken care of, that will automatically reflect into trading whatever career path you're taking. I made about $56,000 going long on spot. You know, in the moment it felt great, but afterwards I went back to that trade and I was like, wait, hold on. I made $56,000 on what setup? What did the market tell me? Like what was the criteria I traded off? And when I looked at it, I realized I had no criteria at all. I essentially got lucky. And now it's very important to be brutally honest and recognize those patterns, is because imagine if I didn't, and I told myself, well, I made $56,000. I don't need a strategy. Now that will start bleeding into my next trading day or my next trade. Indicators are nonsense. I see traders add so many indicators to charts and be like, well, this indicator is going to tell me this, that indicator is going to tell me this, and it'll give me the perfect entry and exit. It just doesn't exist. The problem with indicators is that they are lagging indications of the market. Indicators showcase their movements after price has formulated. Think about that for a second. Price needs to formulate and then indicators start moving as the way they will be according to price. Look at them as cool training wheels, but indicators are not a forward moving indication of what will happen. It does show you what has happened and you can gauge off that a little bit, but don't look for indicators as the main thing to help you identify where to buy, where to sell, and just get the perfect entry and exit signals, because once again, that doesn't exist. Bro, if I had an indicator to tell me when to get in, when to get out, I promise you right now, I'm not going into selling that indicator. I'm starting a hedge fund and I'm making a ton of money myself. Why would I sell that? Like, just think about that. People are just lazy. People just want indicators and they're like, oh, I need to buy an indicator. Or the MACD, when the MACD crosses and it turns this, or the RSI does this, all I have to do is buy or sell. I'm like, yo, like, you really think that there's hedge funds worth billions and billions of dollars of capital under management? They're sitting there and they're like, hey, Joe, sell that stock, RSI's. Like, no, bro, it just doesn't make sense. What's moving the money? Big money, right? Big money's moving it. You got big institutions moving money. When are they buying? When are they selling? It's an auction. The whole market is an auction. So you try to understand the auction. Who's aggressive? Who's not aggressive? Sometimes the auction is balanced. Sometimes it's not. So you understand that. He's made like $4 million, $5 million. 2022 to even probably now, he's blown it all plus more, because he didn't have a strategy. All he did was buy long Tesla calls, buy long Amazon calls, made tons of money on it. And when it didn't work, he kept doubling down. And I was like, that's not really a strategy. You're just riding out a wave. When that wave pulls back, you have to be able to take a step back and let the wave settle before you start burning more capital. Let's say I make 100 grand a day. People go, oh, well, he made 100 grand in 2 hours. I'm like, it's not 2 hours, it's 10 years. It's like same thing when you see boxers like Mayweather. He goes into the ring for 36 minutes. In that time period, he makes 100 million. And people go, oh, he made 100 million in 36 minutes. I'm like, no, that's his whole life. He's been training his whole life on building his brand, on training, and being able to be at that stage to have the opportunity to make 100 million. It didn't just happen. He went in for 36 minutes. No. If I had a better laptop, if I had 6 screens, I would become profitable. If you can't become profitable on a single laptop and 1 screen, why do you think having 4 screens will make you more profitable? Yes, having more screens somewhat could be beneficial. You have 1 screen, that is enough for you to make money and get started. Once you make money and once you get started, yes, you can add another screen, but that is not something that holds you back from being profitable. A person cannot be disciplined in trading and not be disciplined in their personal life. and vice versa. You can't be disciplined in one part and not disciplined in the other part. Either you've developed yourself to be disciplined, you've developed yourself to have patience or have parameters to develop these things, or you will not be able to achieve it in trading. People don't even understand how option Greeks work. They'll buy options. They're like, well, the stock is going up, but my option premiums are flat. Why? And I'm like, well, do you not see the IV? Do you not see the option? Like, do you not understand that? Or they're like, oh. And I'm like, how are you trading an instrument that you don't know how it works? Like just explain that to me. Every time you take on a trade, I would start trying to look at the negatives. I would start trying to look at the other side. So if you want to go long and your thesis makes sense of this trade should go long, start trying to look at the other side of the trade. So, hey, I want to go long. Well, why would this not go up? Why would this trade not go in my direction? Start flipping that from a different perspective if this is a problem you're dealing with. Regardless of what is destroying our trading, we still keep doing it. And the reason for that is we don't have a good sense of control on our emotional understanding. We don't have a good control on our emotions in general. We're very responsive to our emotions, our thoughts and feelings. You guys need to get a good understanding of how you respond to things, how your emotions play a role in your trading, just so you can navigate through different markets, you can navigate through different situations in your trading, and just have a good foundation to kind of build off. There's a complete difference of being a good trader and making money. If you aim to make money, it puts you at a disadvantage because aiming to make money forces you to rush the process, forces you to take stupid trades, forces you to go in the wrong direction. But when you focus on being a good trader, and you are a good trader, and you can identify good opportunities, execute on the good opportunities, manage your risk, money comes to the front door and starts knocking on it. There is no such thing as a secret strategy. There's no such thing as a secret holy grail. It just doesn't exist. The markets are ever changing. There's new opportunities, new approaches to the market. And our job as retail traders is to be able to recognize those opportunities and execute on that. There's no such thing as a special indicator. There's no such thing as a special strategy that will consistently work and work in the markets all the time and make you money. Don't even look for that. And if you're looking for that, I promise you, looking for the wrong thing. That is not going to get you to a profitability point of view. So I went on Forbes.com and I was like, hey, last year, who made the most amount of money? And I think the top 2 or 3 people were hedge fund managers. And I was like, hey, what is a hedge fund manager, right? I have no idea. So I look at a hedge fund manager and like going down the rabbit hole, I was like, oh, wow, these are people that kind of manage money for other people in the stock world. So I was like, okay, I want to get involved in the stocks. So I look it up and it's like, you know, you can open an account in 2 seconds, fund it and take on trades. So then I started looking at old trades. I'm like, wow, if I bought here and I sold here, I could have made this much money. And that's what essentially everyone does when they look at the markets, right? They're like, oh, if I bought here and this much, and I'm like, how hard can this be? So that's ultimately what got me into it. 2 reasons people suck at it is, number 1, people try to cut corners. If you go to someone that's like, hey, I've been day trading for 2 years or 3 years, ask them, okay, let me see your data. Let me see your records. Let me see what you've been trading. Let me ask you, what is your edge? When does your edge work? What market conditions does your edge work in? Like, you start asking them these real questions about their trading, they don't have answers because they wake up, they put on a trade, they make money, they lose money, they go on about their day. And they do that for 2-3 years. So they don't take it serious. So taking it serious is you having like a real process. That's number 1. Number 2, a lot of people don't have a good understanding about themselves, who they are, how they operate, how they think, how they process, what emotions ticks them off, what doesn't. And trading is something that it will expose you of all your flaws, especially your emotional flaws. Confirmation bias is basically whenever you hypothetically, let's say, go long or short on a trade, you only look for pieces of information that support your thesis, that supports your direction, that supports your idea. So we as humans, we have this tendency that whenever we want to do anything, be it trading or not trading related, we will only seek information that once again supports what we are looking for. So when the strategy stops working, you go down a losing streak. So the losing streak is where you kind of have to be really, really careful and really aware of how to control that, right? Because if you allow yourself to go through a really bad losing streak, I've seen losing streaks destroy trading accounts. I've seen it destroy traders' confidence and whatnot. So if you hit that losing streak arrow, that's where you do need to take a step back.
So because of that choppy action and slow day, these strategies that I have set up will not work in that market condition. So my pre-market routine or pre-market focus, I'm already aware of what my approach to the market is going to be and what I am looking for, or what I want the market to present for me to execute on. And most of the time, I'll have days where I'll say, well, you know what, this week I don't really think there's much going on. I'll show up, but I don't think there's much going on. Or other days or other weeks where I'm like, okay, well, I think these are some of the strategies that I think will work or will come into play. But for these strategies to work, I need the market to do X, Y, and Z. If the market does X, Y, and Z, I will have the highest probability for success.
You have the fear of missing out on a trade. You have the fear of missing out on profits. You have a fear of getting left behind in a certain position, in a certain trade, whatever the case is. So we as traders, when we see a certain trade, we see a certain position, and it's going in the direction that we maybe predicted or thought it was going to go, we start feeling this feeling of like, oh man, I was so right on this trade. If I got in here, I could have made so much money. Why didn't I enter? Why didn't I take this trade? And that FOMO starts kicking in, right? And that FOMO tends to do what? It tends to lead us to taking bad trades, putting on bad size, and just completely losing control. Track trades. Track every single trade you take. Understand what was your stop loss, what was your R multiple on the trade, why did you enter the trade, why did you exit the trade. Track your days. Look at your pre-market game plan, what you actually did during the day, and then break down what the outcome of that day was. Go and flip it and say, you know what? I'm going to give myself 2 years, and I'm going to give myself proper 2 years of focusing on the market, focusing on what I need to do. And in those 2 years, I'm not focused on making money. I'm not focused on being profitable. I'm focused on becoming a better trader. I'm focused on these following things. I'm focused on identifying an edge, focused on identifying what works for me. I'm focused on understanding and learning about the markets as much as I can, learning more about myself, what works for me. How do I respond to a losing day? How do I respond to a winning day? How do I respond to my stop losses? How do I respond when the price starts rallying and I have FOMO? How do I naturally respond? So my goal is to understand these things year one, instead of year one, I want to try to make money, or year one, I want to make X amount of money. That should not be the goal. And I see when traders create that pressure for themselves, they have a really, really difficult time on being profitable or even just staying alive. You don't have to trade every day. When I first started out trading, I woke up every single day looking to take trades in the market. And over the few years, I've learned that you have to focus on finding opportunities in the market. And the market is a place that does not give you an opportunity every single day. The market will present different opportunities based on your game plan, your viewpoint of the market, and how you trade. So you have to identify the way you trade, what your strategies are, and then with that strategy or strategies, you need to approach the market with the ideology that, hey, the market may or may not present me an opportunity today. And if it doesn't, it's okay to stay cash. I have taken trades because I was angry, because I lost money, because I missed out on opportunity, and I got really, really upset. So I wanted to make back my losses, or I wanted to make up for the profits I missed. Now, revenge trading is something that can completely destroy your trading account. It can blow up your trading account ultimately if you are not aware of your emotions, if you are not aware of how you're feeling, and you do not combat this in real time. Please make sure you only invest money that you can lose. Like, please, I see so many traders invest money they can't lose, and they put themselves in such a disadvantage, and I hate to see that. Start with minimal capital just to get a flow of the market, just to get an understanding of yourself. And then I would look to put more money once you find a certain amount of success with the capital you have put in initially. Traders don't like to factor in the idea of being wrong. So having no risk management strategy in place ultimately puts you at a disadvantage. Imagine you enter the market with no proper risk management strategy. A few bad trades can ultimately wipe your account out. So what you want to do is you want to flip the concept where every trade you look at, you start paying attention to, hey, if I'm wrong in this trade, how much will I lose and how much am I able to lose based on my account size? Once you have that identified, your job then becomes to make sure every single trade you take moving forward allows you to stay alive in the market for as long as possible.